Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm here again with yet another deck. Go back to Baldur's Gate today because asked for recommendations and my moderators on my Twitch stream came up with a couple of cards I hadn't covered. They wanted me to cover, so that's today's and tomorrow's videos. But today, we're kicking off with this. Zevlor, Elturel, Exile, 1 blue, black and red for a 4/2 legendary creature. It's a Tiefling warrior. Has haste, and you can pay 2 and tap it, and whenever you cast the next instant or sorcery spell that targets a single opponent or single or permanent opponent controls this turn, for each other opponent, choose that player or permanent they control, copy that spell, and the copy targets the chosen player or permanent. So basically, add 2 mana to any spell that targets a single opponent and or single permanent, and it targets another single permanent of each other opponent's control. Yeah, I think the conclusion is my moderators wanted to give me a headache when I was building this deck, but hey, we've done it, and yeah, we're going for it. So here we go. So, starting at the beginning, we've got 26 creatures, 26 spells, a few planeswalkers and a few artifacts, so it's all fairly even all the way through this one. But we're kicking off with Balmor, Battle Mage Captain. We have 20 instants and sorceries in the deck, and the creatures we're playing, because they reduce the cost of instants and sorceries, aren't the strongest in the world, so having Balmor around to give them that little bit of +1/+0 and trample when you cast instants and sorceries does help a bit. Creatures that reduce the spells are next, so we've got Baral, Chief of Compliance, which we all know and love from every time we play a Spellslinger deck. Likewise, Goblin Electromancers here. A little bit of recursion for our instants and sorceries with Snapcaster, and then going back to Bloomburrow, Stormcatcher Mentals also in there as well to reduce the cost even more. This is nice because it does have haste and prowess, so you do get some nice sort of like building up of this card as things goes along. Thermo Alchemist is also in. We might as well get some extra damage into each person as we cast our instants and sorceries. Just, tap it before you cast the instant sorceries. You don't have to worry about the untap trigger if you're playing on MTGO. It's easier that way. Thunderclap Drake also cuts down the cost of our spells and sorceries, and then we can literally, whenever we can sacrifice it if we need to copy the next instant or sorcery spell for each time we've played our commander from the command zone this game. So that's actually a really nice one. And it's a little bit cheaper than having Zevlor around as well. So yeah, go with that. Young Pyromancer, we're playing instants and sorceries. The red elemental creatures help. Gutter Snipe because it's traditional and dealing damage is always good. Mocking Sprite cuts the cost down again from Foundations. Might as well have this in here as well to keep the cost down. And then a strange one that you don't see that often, because we have got black in the deck. Sedgemoor Witch can come in, which the little bit of Magecraft giving us those pest tokens to gain some life does actually help in this deck to keep us in the game. Spectacle Mage also comes in. We have some instants and sorceries with mana value 5 or greater, and it's a 2/2 flyer for 3, which I can cope with in this deck. Unruly Catapult, also another one that likes dealing damage to everybody. Yeah, again, tap it before you cast your instants and sorceries to make sure that untaps goes through. Vadric, the Astral Archmage, comes in. Hopefully get the power up and down a little bit more to cut the cost of our spells down even greater by flipping between night and day. Archmage Emeritus, purely here for the Magecraft ability for the card draw. Immodane, the Pyro Hammer. Whenever an instant or sorcery you control deals that targets only a single creature, deals damage to that creature, deals that much damage to each opponent. We've got a couple of bits to do this, so we'll see what happens with this. Kest Dissident Mage just gives something flashback every turn. To all intents and purposes, I know it doesn't say flashback on the card, but to all intents and purposes, that's what it does. Murmuring Mystic for the little birdies we get with the sorceries and instants when we cast them. Ronan Sheldred's Faithful. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 1 life. Don't have to worry about tapping this. The great thing is you can bring this back from your graveyard with discarding a couple of cards and paying the 1 blue and double black to do it. Storm Killmartin, just so we can get some extra treasures when we cast some instants and sorceries, and the +1/+0 isn't too bad, especially if you've got Balmor in play at the same time. You can soon get a big trampoline into play and just hope no one's got a first striker to deal with it. Talrand, the Sky Summoner, just to give us some more drakes in the air to fly when we cast some instants and sorceries. The Wizards of Fae for their Myriad ability, and then really cutting costs down. Once you have 4 of these in play, cutting 4 mana off any of your instants and sorceries is very nice. Plus the ability to cast your sorceries as flash speed can help with this deck. A variation of the Archmage is also in. We've got the Archmage of Runes, cuts the spells down and then draws as a card. So 1 extra mana compared to the Emeritus one for the instant and sorcery spell reduction. That seems like a fair trade-off coming in from Foundations. Judith, Carnage Connoisseur. Don't like this artwork, sorry. But whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, we either get an imp or we get give our spell Death Touch and Lifelink. Probably be the imps we're going for with this, because we've got the Lord of Nazgul as well to make sure we get these wraiths as we cast some instants and sorceries, and hopefully at some stage get them up to 9/9 level quite quickly. And Eris, Roar of the Storm. Plus each time we get 4/4 red dragon token, elemental creature token with flying and prowess. So yeah, I'm happy with that idea. The 3 planeswalkers I talked about earlier, Ral Zarek, because then we can tap and untap things or deal some damage or do the extra turns that we need to, but it's the tapping and untapping we're really interested in. The other version of Ral, the Storm Conduit of multiple scry. We get to the +2 to scry, or we get to deal 1 damage to target opponent or planeswalker each time we cast an instant sorcery. So yeah, targeting the person with the most life when you cast your instant sorceries with everything else in play is the fairest way to go with this, I feel. And then Professor Onyx comes in as well, Liliana in disguise from Strixhaven. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Seems fair to me. Here come the spells. Fiery Impulse to kick it off with, just so we can do the whole spell mastery and get 3 damage to a creature if we need to, along with Lightning Bolts to deal 3 damage to anything. It's quite a nice one to copy with Zevlor if you want to, so everyone takes 3. Abrade for more creature control and artifact destruction. Cyclonic Rift to control the board. Terminate to take out creatures. Again, nice one to do with Zevlor as well, to make sure we can take out the 3 most annoying creatures on the board. Blightning is just fun, 3 damage to target player, and then that player discards 2 cards. Copying this with Zevlor does give people a little bit of a fit. Croxus's Charm, return target permanent to its owner's hand, destroy target non-black creature, or blow up an artifact. Take your choice and go for it. Fiery Annihilation is just 5 damage to a target creature, and then we get to exile up to 1 target equipment attached to that creature if it's relevant. But if the creature dies, you get to exile it instead. This is a nice one to copy with Zevlor. It is difficult because the amount of mana we have to pay. I'm not saying it's easy. This is 3 plus the 2 to tap Zevlor is 5 plus the original 4. So you're looking at 9 mana. So you do need to get Zevlor into play, hopefully. And no one takes it out with a bit of luck. Flicker Coin, 1 damage to anything in a treasure for every copy. Grixis Charm to give something -4/-4, bounce it or pump all our creatures up for a turn. And Maestro's Charm, look at the top 5 cards of your library, 1 in your hand, the rest in your graveyard, but probably each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. Or deals 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker. That's the only one you can really copy with Zevlor. The other 2 are kind of useful side effects if we need them to be. Toxic Deluge gives us board control. Arcane Heist, you may cast target instant or sorceries from an opponent's graveyard without paying its mana cost, and then you get to cipher this onto one of your creatures. This is nice with Zevlor because then you get to copy 3 instants of sorceries, assuming you've still got 3 opponents left. Cryptic Command for a bit of control. Talent of the Telepath comes in from Origins, if I remember correctly. Target opponent reveals top 7 cards of his or her library, cast an instant or sorcery without paying its mana cost, then that player puts the rest of the cards in his graveyard. Yeah, if there are 2 or more instant sorcery cards in your graveyard, which there should be with this deck, you get to do 2 of the revealed instants of sorceries, which does have some real benefits sometimes. We have got both versions of the Blasphemouses in here. So we've got Blasphemous Act for the 13 damage to each creature, which is fine. But one of the things I found recently is there's been a bit more protection from red, protection from other colours. So I've also included Blasphemous Edict from Foundations. I'm quite happy to pay 1 black if there are 13 or more creatures on the battlefield. Yes, we have to sacrifice our own creatures, but it gets you around indestructible things, pro-red creatures, so on and so forth, or pro-black, because this is sacrifice, you're not targeting, so, and it's each player, so you don't have to worry about copying it. Bribery is just silly. We all know what this does. Go and find a creature card, put it onto battlefield under your control. Copying this with Zevlor is stupidly good. Likewise, Cruel Ultimatum. This artwork I do like on this version. Target opponent sacrifices a creature to discard 3 cards and loses 5 life. Then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand, draw 3 cards and gain 5 life. If you got enough mana at some stage, which is what, 9 mana available in a turn to cast this and go for it, you will be having great fun with this card and your opponents will be having a bit of a moment. Lastly, Clone Legion. I couldn't resist it. I wanted to play something fun where I could get copies of everything, and since this does target a player, if you've got 11 mana kicking around with Zevlor in play, you can do this and get copies of everybody's creatures. It's kind of fun when it goes off. Artifacts wise, we have quite a few ways of helping us out. So we've got Elixir of Immortality to shuffle everything back in to just keep it going for us. Then we have Ramp with the Soul Ring, Arcane Signet. I class the medallions as ramp, so we've got all 3 in here: Jet, Ruby and Sapphire. Mindstone for ramp. The talismans of each of the 3 colour pairs are all here. And then a couple of things to help us out. Thought Vessel, to make sure we've got no maximum hand size, again more ramp. And 1,000 Year Elixir. Yes, Zevlor has haste, I'm aware of that, but if we do get to a point where we have a lot of mana kicking around, having the ability to untap Zevlor and use his ability again seemed really good to me, hence why it's here. 3 fun enchantments. You can change these for other things you want to, but I like playing these 3, so they're going to appear now. Jace's Sanctum's fine, cuts the cost of our instant sorcery spells down, and when we cast one we get to scry. Arcane Bombardment just lets us exile some random instants and sorceries from our graveyard, and then we get to play copies of them. A little bit risky, I know, with this deck, but you got to try something. You only live once, don't you? And then Rite of the Dragon Caller. Instant sorcery spells, when this is in play, give us dragons as well, which, yeah, we need creatures. This is another way around it. The reason I'm saying you can probably drop these 2 if you want to, so if you want to go up to 37 lands, I found it okay at 35. But we have got the usual selection of lands in that you'd expect to see. I'm not going to go through them all, they're all kind of boring. We have got Field of the Dead, I will point out, just because we want some extra bodies for this deck. We've got 3 islands, 3 mountains, 2 swamps, but we have got the Tomb in to cover that one up. We have got Reliquary Tower, we have got Temple of the False God, and we have got Xander's Lounge, because you might as well have the tri-land thing in if you want to. And that's it. That's my take on Zevlor. Yeah, the one practice game I've had, I think I came 3rd. I got knocked out, but when it went off, I did take out a player before I went off, and the other 2 players then ganged up on me because I was potentially in a position to win the game, and they basically killed me over the next 2 turns before I could quite go off again. So it is strong, it is powerful, it does work, and it is fun. So that's it, really. Yeah, let me know in the comments down below if you think there's anything you missed out. Thank you to the 594 people who are subscribed here. If you can subscribe, please help me out down below. Hit the subscription button, I really appreciate it. If you want to see me play Zevlor, drop along. There's a link down below to Twitch. I'll be there playing, probably trying to play Zevlor Thursday night or over the weekend. But for now, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll be back tomorrow with the other deck that my mods asked me to cover. So for now, take care, see you soon, bye.